hard and fast rule on how you format a database, but it will be you as an organization. How do you think would the database best be useful to our team? Right, so that will be the format. Just make sure certain things that needs to be there is there. How you organize the data, uh, all those labor, equipment, and machine. The columns are there. Reference point, who updated it, and what date the data was updated. Uh, I would really not like to see something which is a document update date. Okay, that I can go in the properties of Excel and I can figure it out as well. It has to be every row. Every row has to have its own update date, right? So let's say it's a brick so there's, let's say, only brick. There are 5 suppliers, right? So Brampton Brick, Lowe's, Home Depot, Rona, and XYZ, right? So there's 5 suppliers. So let's say the Brampton Brick sent you a quotation on October 10th saying that from November 1st our brick prices are going up, whatever that 1 cent, 5 cents, whatever the change in prices, that needs to be updated, right? So you update your database and you put that date when it was updated, and you put a reference that what made you change that, right? So sometimes it will be a quotation which is helping you in updating that. Sometimes it is you can say the website from where you are taking it, the company website, or email, or something of that sort. You can even put some, like, let's say if you're using a website, you went on to the Lowe's website or Home Depot website, they have certain things on promotion, right? Now this is for our understanding purpose. So if we have certain things in there and that is on promotion, so this price will change, right? So just try to take a snip and add some part in your library, maybe a sheet extra where you can paste information, right? You can copy paste some of those information over there, and so that in whoever is referring it later on, you have that trail that yes, this was when the database was built, the price was this, and now the price has changed. Right, so that will be a good version for us to take care of it. Now, looking into the question itself, it's going to be a 10% evaluation, and an objective coming out from here is this assignment is to build a database for estimating organization. This includes the template as well. You as a project manager will make an onboarding guide for a newbie. Right, so you will have a short onboarding guide, and these are just a sample, couple of 3 questions which you have already solved in the class. So I have added that, but you might have even more than this as an onboarding guide for a newbie who will be using or maintaining the database. Most likely, when we talk about a newbie or someone getting hired, and we have discussed that part, that mostly we won't give them edit rights to it. So it will be more of a use of a database is what we are looking for. This will answer a few questions, like just 3 questions which we have already solved, right? But as I said, it will be more than that for sure. Once this is drafted, your team will build a database for the estimating firm for any of the 5 master format topics. It's not going to be given to you. It's for when I used to do it in the class. So it will be the topic of your choice. So let's say you take it as concrete, you take it as masonry, you take it as wood. Any of those 5 topics, broader topics, has to be selected, and then you break down the topic into minor components. So let's say, for example, you selected section 4, masonry, as your broader topic. You will subdivide that section, that is all the different types of things used in masonry, right? So you'll have to talk about, let's say, brick, you're talking about blocks, you're talking about stone, you're talking about vinyls, everything that could be a type of material that is going to be utilized, right? So that is a detailed version. So you pick any assembly, one assembly, let's say you pick up a drywall, then everything from the drywall assembly should be reflecting in your database. So It should be. So that is divided into, let's say when we talk about this masonry, then it can be divided into bricks, stone, vinyls, and so on. List all the materials, labors, and equipments required for this. Right. So how much of labor required, or type of labor required, the equipment required, and then the materials. Then when we focus on, let's say, labor and equipment, so let's say labor is going to be in-house or it's going to be subcontracted. Then we talk about equipment, then it is going to be buy or rent or lease. So you have to identify that as well. And then when we look in the types, once you have, let's say, material, then you'll have different materials, and then you will put down for every material taking about at least 5 suppliers. So also add the category of in-house and subcontract where possible. Your database will have various suppliers as listed. You would have minimum of 5 for every item. Right, so if you take one thing, like let's say concrete, and you're saying ready mix concrete, so then it will be like Dufferin is a supplier, you can have the Graham is a supplier, so whatever the suppliers are. Now, not all the prices you're going to find it easily, right? So you search on internet. I want you to do a little bit extra work over here, and that's why I'm giving you 4 weeks. So it's not a mandate, but if you can, like everything is open now, right? So you can go to some of these hardware stores, like you can have Lowe's, for example. You go there, just roam around, just get into this hardware side of it, and then try to get some prices from there, right? Just take the picture of the material and the picture of the label they have for pricing and add it to your database, right? So you can do something like that. You can contact some of the like, because when you search online, not everything will be listed on your like on the website, right? So in some cases, if you need to have a price, you might have to make a call, right? Or you might have to send an email. So send an email from obviously a Lambton email address and say that I'm a student of this course, and I'm just, for my assignment purpose, I'm trying to find out the pricing of this material. Most of the time, 90% of the time, you will get a reply back. They do, like most of the companies, they do help students in any of the academics we need. So you will get a feedback from them. So, and that's why the time frame. So you have to start working right away for formulation, so that within this 3-4 weeks you get the timely response, and then you can update those things straightforward, right? You can update those things on your list. Anything that is not coming out from, let's say, website, it's not coming from a call or your visit or from an email, and anything of that, try to put a reference. In your reference, when I read quotation, right? Because I'm looking in that maybe you might not have a lot of quotations coming in, right? So if that's the case, then you can put down quotation. And anytime you are going to have a quotation, I would be okay with it on the part, right, for doing the quote, right? So, and quote can be assumed as well. So you can have something which is assumed for yourself in the quotation, which is going to be okay for me. So, but not, I should not see the whole database. Everything you put references, quote, everything is quote, that is everything assumed. No. Try to take some efforts. We have 5 people in a group, right? Even if we take care of certain items, then it's going to be good. I'm looking for an extensive data, right? So make sure your database looks like a database. It's just like not just, one screen part of it, and you have just 50 or so rows and maybe like 10 of the columns. Make sure your data is extensive. You will have a lot of information in here, and that means everyone has to contribute on this evaluation. Everyone has to contribute to the maximum to have an intense data. Right, so some portion of a marks will be just right there for the amount of information you have in the database. Right, then how much of you have surfed around apart from your internet search and quotation, that is assumptions and the internet search. What extra have you done? Right, have you gone out or reached out to some stores, reached out to some suppliers? Have you been to a store? Because it's all open now, you can easily do it. Right, it's just like spending some half an hour in a store and list down all the things which you are looking for, and then club together all this information and then put it down in your database, add that information in your database. So you will my objective over here is not only to get some data from you. My objective is to get you familiar with some communication part as well. That is, you try to contact, you try to make a call to a supplier, you try to send an email to a supplier, and you try to go to a supplier or store and have a look at it. So you get familiar with the process so that it will be useful in future as well. So that's an overall on what I'm expecting on this. We might need to have a checklist as well for the newbie to follow until the person gets understood. Now, this checklist again, from project manager to project manager and organization to organization, it just becomes a debatable stuff. That do we actually need a checklist, or it's just a wastage of time? When I was a designer, I used to hate a checklist. Even when I was a surveyor, we had a checklist in there. And I used to hate it. Like sometimes you even know like all the pages on the checklist and you know where to make a tick mark, right? So you will quickly do that. But if you look into the checklist process properly, that is, let's say you have a checklist, your process being built on a checklist. That okay, let's say you are an approving agency, right? You are going to approve the permit. So you go through the whole process of the checklist. That each and every step. That okay, is everything? This is done. This is done. This is done. So you don't miss out any aspect of your approval process. So similarly, if you are having a checklist, the newbie will be following all those things on the checklist, and that will give a good idea that anything which is missing out or anything that is there. And checklist serves another purpose. It's a written document, right? It's something like, let's say, as a designer has to submit the project to engineer. So they'll submit the project files, all the files of the project, and along with a checklist. So when the markup comes in, and let's say as a manager, when I look at it and it's, oh, there's so much of mistakes on this, so much of markups. So I open up the checklist and I see, oh, on the checklist, you're saying that you have reviewed the soil type. On your design, I see that engineer has marked that yes, soil type is not selected or it's selected wrong. That means it's very evident that you have just randomly marked the checklist, but you haven't actually gone through the checklist. So that's an overall on this part when we are going to deal with this assignment. So if at all anyone is changing the groups from what we already have,